Welcome to Well House Exorcism. I'm PukwuPJ.
Welcome to this week's midweek mini. This is your ghost of a host with the most, Shanna.
That's the intro.
You did a good job. Thank you for clapping for me.
That's right.
I have a joke for you.
Oh.
I once told a bad joke about ghosts. It still haunts me to this day.
I told a joke about owls.
And?
It was a hoot. I just made that up.
Well, the good news is I have actually looked at this script that you wrote, and it's way too long for a midweek mini.
It's fine.
Okay.
We'll be fine. I've done longer. My Amityville one was 13 pages.
Yeah, and I had to cut that down and cut that down and cut that down when I edited.
No, I edited that one.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I definitely did.
Anyway, why are we here?
We are here to talk about the Mothman.
Dun dun dun.
Yes.
Indrid.
Indrid's upstairs.
Oh, Indrid, no.
So my sources for this evening are the documentary Mothman of Point Pleasant by Seth Breedlove on Amazon Prime. You can watch it there. Onlyinyourstate.com.
I love that website.
CuriousCaseOf.com. Smithsonian Folklore. PowerTechnology.com.
Okay.
Singular14.com, but it's spelled 4 and then Tean. I'm not sure what that stands for, but they are these guys are like super hardcore into Mothman. Like everything, all roads lead to Singular 14.
Okay.
It's weird. So yeah, the more I researched this, the farther into the rabbit hole I fell until I was Charlie
script.
Day with like the strings and the Post-its on the bulletin board.
That's how I am twice a week for this podcast.
Yep. So let's go back to pre-colonial America. The Shawnee tribe.
Say this Point Pleasant would be in what, Ohio?
West Virginia.
Yeah, so the Shawnee are
and like southern Ohio, that area. The Shawnee tribe, they're out hunting,
doing their
gathering.
Native American thing.
Yep.
Okay. In untouched, beautiful woods.
Yeah, right. Like where trees are so wide you can't wrap your arms around them and stuff like that.
Days.
When suddenly they see a large bird fly overhead.
Thunderbird.
And they simultaneously feel awe and fear over this.
Well, that's what awe was.
Well, I mean, awe, like, it's an amazing sight.
When you're in awe of God, you're actually in fear of him. That's why it's awful, because you're full of awe.
All right, English teacher.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
So the fear part of it is because they are protectors against evil spirits. So as soon as they saw it, they would be like, why is it out?
That's true, yeah.
Which leads me to the town of Point Pleasant.
Okay.
So it is 1 year before the Revolutionary War kicks off, 1774.
Oof. Okay.
There's a small town, quote-unquote, small town of Point Pleasant, which is now, I say, quote-unquote, small town, because current day it's 9,000 people. It's small.
Compared to Millville, it's humongous.
Yes, compared to us, which I looked at the most recent census of 2020, was 976.
So we're getting close to 1,000.
We got 30 more than last time I checked.
We made 3 of those.
Bloomsburg, which is the only town in Pennsylvania, has 12,000. So maybe it is a small town. I don't know. By town standards.
Yeah.
So, colonization. It's 1774 in October.
Brr.
The Shawnee and Mingo tribes are very unhappy with us being here.
What?
I know, right? Mostly because we're not sticking to our word and
our treaties,
pressing farther west. The Shawnee chieftain Cornstalk decides to band up with the Mingo tribes to attack the Virginia militia.
Okay.
At the place where the Kanawha and Ohio rivers meet. Because that's where he was camped. So somewhere between 300 to 500 Native Americans descend on 1,100 militiamen.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It is an hours-long battle, mostly close quarters. It ends with the Native Americans retreating.
Yeah, well, they were vastly outnumbered and
their
outgunned.
technology was definitely not comparable to what the militia had. After that, they struck another treaty. Things were okay. 3 years later, Cornstalk and his sons went to on a diplomatic meeting to a nearby fort. There, they were captured and killed. So, no...
Sounds about correct.
Yeah. No, no...
pretense there at all.
Pretense, that's the word. Yep. Yeah, not at all. So, since then, the town has had a massive string of bad luck.
Well, that's what you get.
Yeah. And they say that on his dying breath, the land would be cursed for the next 200 years. That is according to the Mothman Museum curator.
The good news is that is past now. I can do simple math.
Right?
It's 1974. So
Exactly.
we're good.
Yeah, we're fine now. From 1914 to 1937, the Ohio River flooded its banks 4 times, completely devastating the town each time. Mm-hmm. We had one in 2011 that wrecked a portion of the town of Bloomsburg.
They didn't have flood walls back then either.
Yeah,
so.
This happened 4 times in 20 years. That's insane.
Well, you know what they gotta do? They gotta start building lifeboats out of raincoats and glue.
That's right.
To Alcatraz.
In 1907, the worst coal mine disaster in American history took place.
Yeesh.
So, where on December 6th, 310 miners were killed.
Geez.
Yeah. In 1944, in June of that year, 150 people were killed when a tornado ripped through the tri-state area.
Wow.
In 1967, there was the devastating Silver Bridge disaster, which we will get into in more detail. And then in 1968, an airplane crashed in the Kanawha airport, killing 35 people. In 1970, another plane crashed, killing 75 people. And it just goes on and on until the late 70s. And then it just kind of stops. And
so what you're saying is we don't take airplanes out of that section of Virginia, Ohio.
No planes in West Virginia.
Nope.
We just don't do it. It's not good.
So John Denver's song is wrong. We don't want to go there.
So it is 1914, and Professor James Gay Jones reports sightings of what is described as Mothman, but they didn't use that term, so it's not like the first official sighting.
Okay.
But it is, so it's in his book, Haunted Valley, and he claims that there were reports of a large bird with the head of a man and a wingspan of 12 feet. Yeah, so that was way back in 1914. Then, nothing really for a while, until 1966. So, 1966, November 1st, some National Guardsmen see, again, they don't have a name for it or anything, they don't even report it because they're not even sure what they see, but they see what's described as the Mothman at an armory nearby.
What was he doing at the armory?
He's prepping.
I like these grenades.
He's prepping his bunker.
Can I have these grenades? Ooh, look at the light. It burns.
So November 11th, 1966, so 15 days later, about an hour away from Point Pleasant in a town called Clendenin, 4 men were digging a grave and saw a flying man fly over top of them. It was around dusk when this happened, and they said it was just this, had a large wingspan, it was a very dark figure. This was the first official sighting. Shortly after that, UFOs begin to appear in the area.
Well, of course, we've read the book.
Uh-huh.
Thanks to our wonderful best friend, Kevin Paul.
That's right. Merle Partridge claims that he heard the TV winding up like a generator.
Oh.
So the dog starts freaking out over this happening. And again, this is the 60s, so it's black and white. It's the big box CRT TV. And it just starts getting faster and faster and higher pitched until eventually it just explodes.
Yes.
Yeah. All over the carpet. And
I
know, all
it.
over. Then he sees something outside. And the dog's freaking out trying to get outside anyway. So he opens up the door to see what's going on. Dog bolts into the field. And in the field are these 2 red lights just kind of orbiting each other and circling. And he said it was like a helicopter, but without the sound.
Okay.
And the dog was never seen again.
No! Why you gotta include those kinds of stories? Was it the Mothman or UFOs?
UFO. Some kind of UFO.
All right.
Yes.
Because I was going to say we got to go hunting for a Mothman now.
I know, right? That's coming. Okay. There is an 8,000-acre ordnance facility in the area, and they call it the TNT.
Hey, we have one of those, but continue.
So
the TNT bunkers.
Mm-hmm. So the TNT was a place where they like manufactured ordnance and things like that, stored it. And then after World War II ended, it became a storing place for toxic waste.
Just like Alfire bunkers.
Then after that, it became a place for illegal drag racing.
Oh, cool.
And
much better than Alfire bunkers.
And for teenagers to hook up.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Somewhere secluded.
La, 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 la.
So at the TNT.
This is a family-friendly environment, PJ. We can't discuss hookups.
Do you remember the last episode I was in charge of?
I had to cut things out. Yes, I remember.
Stephen and Mary Mallet. They and their friends...
Wait, M-A-L-L-E-T Mallet?
2 T's.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's fine then.
Yeah. Stephen and Mary Meat Tenderizer. No.
Has a ring to it.
They and their friends, Roger and Linda Scarberry, were driving in that area around the TNT, showing off their 57 Bel Air.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I would be. Then they see a man just standing in the road.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, whatever. He's going to get out of the way. So they like start getting closer.
Playing chicken.
Yeah, and as they get closer, they realize there's something like sticking up out of his back. And then they get closer and they see it's gigantic wings folded up against his back.
Was it nighttime?
Yes.
So he's not moving because he's attracted to their lights. They gotta turn their lights off and he'll fly away.
Then the wings spread out very abruptly and he starts running towards the Bel Air.
Because he likes the light.
The running motion, they describe those like a hobbling run. Like, he doesn't quite know how to run. I just picture like a flyman trying to run, And
his wings are too heavy. Well, if you're running and the wings are open, it's pulling you back because of drag. So he's fighting wind currents at that point.
So they say this several times. We turn left on the Route 62. They say it so many times.
Okay.
Turn left.
I got it. You turn left.
The turn left is important, I guess. And in the rearview mirror, they see him stop, the Mothman, and then just shoot up into the air. They immediately floor it. And
oh crap.
Mary Mallet, who has been keeping an eye on him the whole time, looks up and sees that he's right above them. At this point, they're doing 90 down the highway, and he is right there and never gets in front of them. He's always either above them or behind them. Just, he's exactly where he wants to be.
He's following the light, PJ.
So once they hit the city limits, he disappears and they go to the sheriff.
Oh, so he found more lights.
Yeah, no, he's just like, nope, people, don't like people.
Oh,
it's too
fair,
people-y,
fair.
So at this point, the director of the documentary, Danny Bellamy, says, it was like Jaws, except everyone was going to get their guns instead of fishing poles.
So the sheriff was like, I believe you, let's go kill it?
Yeah, there's not a manhunt, but a moth hunt, I guess, great. Going on, where everyone has, because, there have been several reports of this at this point, and so people are, go off to hunt for the Mothman at the TNT, and it's such a huge area that they can cover, all these different places.
Yeah.
But it's also, there's so many people going that the National Guard had to be called in to limit how many people were allowed in at a time.
See, they could have made that moth hunt so much easier.
Just make a big bonfire?
Yeah, because he's attracted to light and he would immolate himself. That's how moths work. They're dumb. Ooh, light. It burns. Oh, but it feels
no one
so
says
big.
that he is a moth. He just looks like one.
He was staring at the lights of a car and then followed the light. Listen, you can say what you want about Mothman.
I like the light.
Exactly. I don't care what you say. I'm going to go light a bonfire right now. It's been 200 years. We're fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
So at the same time that this is happening, backtracking a couple weeks to November 2nd.
Okay.
A man named Woodrow Derenberger is stopped by a UFO parked in the middle of the road, which is
There's
new.
a UFO parked in the middle of the road?
Yes.
There's I need to make a pit stop. There's no bathroom.
And
when you gotta go.
So standing in front of the UFO is a man who is grinning at him.
No, I don't like that.
Yes. To quote Woodrow, he looked perfectly natural and normal as any human being. His face looked like he had a good tan, a deep suntan. He was not too dark, but it was just like he had been out in the sun a lot and had a good tan. His hair was combed straight back and it was dark brown, and he seemed to have a good thick head of hair. His eyebrows, his face, and features were very normal. I don't believe that he looked any different from any other man that you would meet on the street.
Apart from the creepy smile?
Yes. So, though he spoke to Derringer, his smile never moved. So,
he actually spoke.
And when he spoke, it was telepathically.
Oh.
He asked me to roll down the window on my right-hand side of my truck.
Nope.
And I done what he asked.
What? Oh, Woodrow.
And this man stood there, and he asked me what I was called. And I know he meant my name, and I told him my name, and he asked me, he said, "Why are you frightened?" And he said, "Don't be frightened. We wish you no harm." And he said, "We mean you no harm. We wish you only happiness." I told him my name. And when I told him my name, he said he was called Cold.
Okay.
And then he goes on to introduce himself as Indrid Cold.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
That's not the only time Indrid shows up. Indrid shows up to another man, too. And again, he has a permanent grin on his face and introduces himself. He never calls himself Indrid, though, but it's the same man. He's well-dressed.
Got a nice tan.
Has this grin on him.
A fantastic tan, like he's been outside with his hair slicked back.
Yep. Another woman named Marcella Bennett drove up to the TNT area one night with her, because her brother and sister-in-law live in the area.
Oh, so she wasn't going there for some hokey pokey.
No.
Okay.
She was up there with her 3-year-old daughter just to visit, have a nice evening. And after about 2 hours, decided to go home, time to get the kiddo to bed. On her way to the car, her brother kept saying, look to your right, look to your right. And she's like, no, I'm not falling for that. Obviously her brother plays tricks on her often. And then she notices in the corner of her eye a gray creature with wings like a bird.
Oh my.
She turned and tried to run, but just couldn't, frozen with fear.
Yeah.
So instead, she just decides to fall onto her face on top of her 3-year-old and, protect her.
Okay.
At least, I assume it's a protector. She never really specifies. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt here.
A little scrapper got in the way and I fell down, but man, it looked good.
So the whole time, she kept hearing her brother telling her, get up, get in the house, get up. And finally, eventually, she snaps out of it when the thing was, a foot behind her. She could feel its presence right there. And so she bolts it into the house, daughter in her arms. They slam the door shut, lock it, and then it's banging on the door trying to get in. After a while, they just ignore it, try to hope it doesn't get in, and it stops and just vanishes. Never seen again by them. Yeah.
Was she carrying a flashlight?
Just give me the light, please.
Listen, it's dark. I'm going to assume she had a flashlight or her phone on. Anyway.
The next one I think is really interesting is a man named Bob Bosworth.
These people and their names. You got Marcella,
we got
Woodrow,
some good ones. Yeah,
you got meat tenderizer. I mean, we got some stuff going on.
So he went to the TNT. Looking,
Bob.
Yep. He and his friend were on their motorcycles, just kind of driving around. Then he decides it's such a bright night. It's a full moon and everything. To mess with his friend, he's just gonna flick his headlight off.
Oh, off.
Off.
Okay.
He's like, hey, look, I can still see. Oh,
What a Bob thing to do.
So Bob. And that's when he realized that something was reflecting a light, but there weren't any lights shining, because at that point his friend turned his lights off too. But there were 2 red lights up on top of a building, obviously staring right at them.
Looking at the lights, not at them. It's a moth, for crying out loud.
Well, again, their lights are off.
Twinkling. Well, they're twinkling. They're going
so
on
what's
and off.
Reflecting the light? No, they're off. He just turned his lights off.
The moonlight is reflecting now.
Obviously. So they're like, hey, let's get up close to this thing.
Oh, no.
So they park and they go into the building.
Oh, jeez.
And picture the most industrial abandoned building ever. It's this big warehouse with multiple floors and like those metal stairs that go up and, you know, metal platforms and catwalks all over the place. And it's, he says, I think it was like 4 stories of like all these metal stairs and scaffolding and stuff like that they could climb up. And so they ascend the stairs to see this thing. They do. They spot it at the, you know, on one of the metal walkways inside the building. So he says that it slowly walked towards them in the moonlight. No red eyes at this point, probably because they weren't using any lights.
And the moonlight, but he was inside now, right? So
he said, to use his words, the wings tapered like a robin's down at the bottom. You know how they like come together? Yeah. It turned toward the catwalk they were on. It walked.
Sorry, was he strutting? You can't use the word catwalk.
I know.
Do my little turn on the catwalk. He's showing off those wings. He's feeling it.
And it walked towards them a little bit.
And then it vogued so hard.
In a way, it did. Okay. It did a turn to the left and fell down off the side of like the catwalk, just down to the ground floor.
Did it die?
No, because at the very last second they heard like a, and you know, as its wings popped up and. It caught itself and then disappeared into the night.
He was voguing so hard. He was making it look good. He's like, look what I can do. Whee!
So for the month of November, there's a sighting for nearly every day.
Wow. Okay.
The documentary has like a little timeline that slowly scrolls across the screen. And it's like November 1st, November 2nd, November 3rd, November 5th, November 8th. You know, and it just keeps going. All the way up until December of 1967. December 15th, the faithful night of the Silver Bridge collapse.
Did you say faithful or fateful?
Fateful.
I thought you said faithful. I'm like, we hope for this?
I mean...
Okay.
Maybe Mothman did. I don't know. It's a cold December night, and the bridge...
Brr.
Yes. The bridge collapsed into the water below, and it resulted in 46 people dying, 9 injured. A detailed investigation of the collapse found that the cause was a 2.5 millimeter defect.
What?
Uh-huh.
Who did that?
It was just like a defect on one single eye bar of the suspension chain.
Wow.
And it was improperly manufactured.
Well, I mean, that...
2 millimeters.
But you have all that weight, it's not surprising.
Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I just can't even fathom that. A measurement that small.
Well, that's when you see cracks anywhere, you need to call right away for the state because they need to come out and check the integrity of a bridge.
Yeah. And that just shows it. But no sightings of Mothman in Point Pleasant ever since. Gone. But Mothman is not native to just West Virginia.
It's because here's the thing. He said 200 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
67 is not 200 years. We got another
Well, there
7 years.
If you go back, there are reports all the way up to 1978 is the last time like a really catastrophic event happens in Point Pleasant.
Okay.
So that's 204. So, in terms of global sightings of Mothman, though.
No, I don't believe it at all. It was cute when it was just West Virginia, but now.
Yeah, now it's just too much. There is what is known as the Bird of Chernobyl. So the Bird of Chernobyl was spotted by many workers of Chernobyl before the events occurred. And also civilians of surrounding towns of the area had seen this creature. They described it as a black bird, a human creature with wings and piercing red eyes.
Okay.
Yes. So specifically, many workers saw it on April 26th, 1986, the day of the accident.
Wow.
Yeah. So after that, anyone who reported to have seen the creature.
I believe April 26th is our friend Corey's birthday, or it's Shakespeare's birthday, or both. So April 26th is when Shakespeare was baptized. So they have to assume that his birthday must be the 23rd. But we celebrated on the 23rd or the 26th, right? And you're saying that Chernobyl happened on the 26th of April. This is proof that Shakespeare sucks.
I knew.
He's the fault. He's the reason. Common denominator. Anyway, continue.
All right, so other possible
I just want
Mothman?
to say that I'm such a good English teacher that I know Shakespeare's birthday.
Even though you hate him.
That's why I know it.
Yeah.
You gotta know your
You just
enemy.
have to know. So other sightings of the Mothman, possibly. But, we don't know because they're like, it's ancient mythology.
Okay.
Hindu and Buddhist mythology have the Garuda.
I saw this in your script.
Yes.
See, I'm more intrigued into believing Mothman now because I like when there's that connection cross culture.
Right.
Continue.
So it is a large eagle-like creature with a human body and wings, often depicted with fiery eyes. So there's that.
Because they like looking at flames.
There's also the Adzi, which is from like Ghana, that area, Western Africa, and is a vampiric being that can transform into a firefly or other insect, often described as having glowing red eyes.
And that's why that mom had to rush in that house because...
Yeah, right?
Oh my.
There's the Tengu in Japanese folklore. This one's a stretch, because I don't know if you saw the picture of a Tengu.
It's very fancy.
It's a very ancient Japanese, like, demon, It's got bright red, fire engine red skin, these eagle wings on its back, and, like, a nose that's, like, 10 inches long. That one's a stretch, for sure, but it's described as a mythological creature that has both human and bird-like features, often depicted with wings and piercing eyes.
Well, birds have creepy eyes anyway.
Yep.
So.
And, of course... the Jersey Devil.
Oh,
while it's described as kangaroo-like, it's also described as having glowing red eyes.
It's a goat or something stupid.
I just had to put that one in there.
Don't even. See, yeah, I was good, and now I don't believe anymore. Light a fire. Let's see what we can bring around the house.
So, last two things I want to talk about. The Men in Black.
Oh, I love going back to these dudes.
Oh, yeah, we got Men in Black sightings here. So, there was a journalist named Mary Heyer. She was a reporter for the Athens Messenger, and she was looking into all the Mothman stuff. There's an author, John Keel, who made the famous Mothman Prophecies book. At least I believe it was him that did it. But anyway, she was helping him investigate, and then one day she's visited by some Men in Black in her office.
Oh, I made a mistake.
Yeah, and they were trying to intimidate her into not printing any of this. And she wasn't the only one. Linda Scarberry, who we talked about earlier.
Oh, Linda.
She also claims she was visited by them, and in an interview, she describes them being like humans, but their skin was somehow transparent.
Mm-hmm.
The veins in their hands could be seen very clearly, and their fingers were longer than normal.
So not tan like Indrid.
They're wearing some kind of egger suit. Then there's Steve and Mary Mallet.
Meat tenderizer.
Mm-hmm. So they also had a strange encounter where they caught a man and a woman taking pictures of them, and when they noticed these people, they quickly got in their car and drove away.
They're so popular.
The Mallets were able to get the license plate number. They reported it to the sheriff, and that number did not exist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A female.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. They're equal opportunity employers.
Well, I'm gonna say, I'm proud of them.
So, lastly, let's talk about Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
Because something's gonna happen there, I'm thinking. Especially at O'Hare International Airport.
Oh, nuts.
Because we've been seeing a lot of Mothman here.
We have been?
We have.
We have not.
Collectively,
okay,
as people,
okay,
have been seeing the Mothman at O'Hare International.
Well, here's the thing about O'Hare. There's probably a lot of lights out there because it's an international airport. If they turned their lights off, it would be fine. Mothman would disappear. They'd have
the planes will be fine.
Yeah. There'd be some accidents, sure.
It'll be a little bit of a learning curve, landing in the dark.
Or they just don't do nighttime flights. Anywho, tell me about your Mothman sightings in Chicago.
On December 29th, 2022, around 11 p.m., a fireman saw something. Quote, "I heard what sounded like a chirping sound, followed by what sounded like shuffling coming from nearby. I looked around, and that's when I heard the clicking coming from across the street. I looked up, and standing on the edge of the HVAC plant was a very tall, thin, human-like creature with huge wings that were spread out. This creature was looking directly at me with a pair of large red eyes that had the intensity of a pair of taillights. The fireman went on to say that the wings of this creature were like 15 feet in length, and the stare down took place for about 5 to 7 seconds before it flapped its wings, flew away, and completely disappeared.
And it said, "I'm Batman."
That's right.
That's right.
When the fireman went on to tell his coworkers what he had seen, he said, quote, "Few of them spoke up and said this was not the first time it had been seen, and it had been seen around the HVAC plant a few times by people and around the airport by hundreds of employees, passengers, and pilots."
Uh-oh.
So my question, is it an elaborate hoax?
It could be.
Because, look at...
I've seen pictures.
There's the Mothman. And, I mean, to prove that it's a hoax...
He's eating pizza.
A woman, Nina Cochran, saw the Mothman across the street and posted on Twitter, "Chicago, the Mothman is real, and I know because I yelled, 'Are you the Mothman?' from across the street, and they yelled back, 'Yes!' And then they disappeared into the night."
Facts.
There it is. There it is right there.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, there's a couple, like, other sightings, almost all of them involving the O'Hare Airport, from 2017 all the way up to 2021, and there's the one from 2022 that I just went over. So, my question is something going to happen in Chicago?
So let's wait and see, but I don't believe he's real.
But there's a picture.
Yeah.
He said he's real. He said it.
A picture of it sitting in what is this, eating pizza? It's sitting in some kind of like adorably, it looks like a spooky themed restaurant.
I know, right? It might be a con. Maybe it's a con.
Yeah. It's outside a Geico. And it's standing beside, instead of a person in a bunny outfit, like obviously it's Halloween. So, no.
How do you know it's Halloween?
It's like
there aren't any jack-o'-lanterns in those pictures.
And candy and zombie hands. So yeah, it's intriguing, but I don't believe it.
I want to believe there's some kind of harbinger, thing, like spirit that...
Hey, Thunderbird's a real, Mothman could be real, but we have not seen him. Until I see facts. We gotta go build a big old bonfire out by the TNT.
Yep.
And then we
get
just
a big
wait.
old bug zapper above the bonfire.
Yeah. We'll see which one he likes more, obviously. And we just have lots of, recording devices ready to go, and we wait.
And then we ask him, "Are you the Mothman?" He's
not going to talk. He's supposed to click.
Excuse me, this one right here just said yes.
They talk telepathically. According to that one guy in this car.
But I wouldn't believe it if it weren't for the reports of UFOs and Men in Black immediately after.
I think it's intriguing.
That's what definitely, I wouldn't say I'm a believer either, but it definitely sways me closer to that.
How about this? I would believe in Mothman 100% more than I do Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
So, in terms of that, I believe in Mothman.
I definitely see Mothman more believable than Jersey Devil.
There you go. Well, this was actually pretty decent. All right. Pretty decent.
You know what? I'm leaving. No. I don't need this. Bye.
It was very good. Our listeners can tell us what they think about Mothman. As a quick reminder, we do have a giveaway on our Facebook page. We posted pictures to our Games Overboard Instagram and our Wellhouse Exorcism Instagram. And I believe I posted Twitter as well. But Facebook's the easiest way to get involved in that giveaway. But regardless, thank you everyone for listening to us and helping us reach our 20K.
Yeah, thanks for listening to my fine episode.
I didn't say fine. I said decent.
You know what?
You have to listen.
Synonyms. Get a thesaurus.
I don't have to. I know Shakespeare's birthday. And his death. He died on the same day, on April 23rd.
He just made up words.
I know. Anyway, so that's why I hate him. So have a lovely week. We'll talk to you on Sunday because we have a special guest coming in. Carrie's going to be here.
That's right.
And we're going to talk about deja vu and night terrors and dreams and what they mean. And we got some updates about a possibly haunted house, 2 of them in our area.
2?
2.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what's the second one?
I haven't told you. So it's a secret until we're recording tomorrow. So you'll find out tomorrow.
What?
I know.
This is not fair.
I guess we'll bring the microphone back and hang out some more. You going to come back?
Hmm.
It's a really cool story.
Fine.
Okay, thanks. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely week. And as always,
think spooky thoughts.